that started. Go ahead and get that started. And we should be good to go now. Alright. Continuing on Brutal-Fairytales, Stray Dogs Redemption. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Starting to wonder if anyone's actually even seeing this. So I'll tell you what. I'll completely just stop here, unless I can get this to, I guess, I don't know, 5 likes. It would really be appreciated if I can at least get 5 likes on this video, please. Continuing Brutal-Fairytales, Stray Dogs Redemption. Astaroth walked up back. Astaroth and Rook walked back up the stairs. As they entered the kitchen, he threw the washcloth into the sink. As his grandparents and parents set the table, Astaroth filled Rook's food and water bowl before he sat at the table. Once everyone was seated, they held hands as his grandfather said grace. The words were just empty and hollow. Hollow words to Astaroth. He just waited for his grandfather to shut his mouth so he could finally eat in peace. Once dinner was done and over with, it was straight to the bathroom to clean himself up, then straight to bed so he could get some sleep. The day was finally almost over, and now he just had to get through one last thing. Then, and only then, will tomorrow finally come. At this point, he only wanted to get this over and done with as quickly as possible. He was just too tired to care either way anymore. Astaroth dug through his bags and found his brass alarm clock and set it to 5 o'clock. As he set the clock on his nightstand, he did not want to sleep. However, he was too tired to keep his eyes open. He didn't want to do this, but he knew that he had to, or he would die. At this point, he really couldn't care either way. The sooner this was done, the better. Astaroth slowly drifted off to sleep. His dreams were not his own, but someone else's. He was on an ancient battlefield, but his body was not his own. The long sword in his hand was so alien to him. A long, thick, curved, single-edged blade designed for slashing through anything. He looked up and saw armies of men and women of races long since extinct charging towards him. The body let out a blood-curdling primal scream that made the ground quake before him. The sound it made was not right. It didn't seem like it did not seem like any sound a human body could make. Then the body crouched down like a sprinter in a foot race. His left hand on the ground, his right hand gripped onto his blade. He rested the blade across his shoulders, then, with a loud popping boom sound, the body was off, running like a wild beast. The ground behind him shattered like glass from the force of the acceleration. The body dashed towards the army with inhuman speed. Each and every step he took broke the ground as he accelerated faster and faster towards the horde. He was dragging the tip of the sword through the ground, splitting it as he went. The army was miles away from the body, but before he could blink an eye, the body was already inside the horde. A shockwave sent everything in front of it flying backwards as he came to a dead stop. Astaroth felt the emptiness of the man as he cut them down. He felt, however, how easily this alien blade carved through everything in its wake. Weapons, armor, horses, bodies, regardless of the armor, regardless of the metal, the blade cut through it like a hot knife through butter. There was simply nothing nor any one or thing that could stop this body. It easily reduced the army into a pile of limbs. The more he slashed and dashed, the more he felt how unfulfilled this creature felt. They seemed like ants trying to pull down the sun from the sky, or children throwing stones at a mountain. Nothing could stop this forgotten demon or fallen god, as the remaining few soldiers quickly turned coat and started to run for their very lives. The man became enraged at them as he let out another scream, roaring at them. Another one echoed out, but this one was not his own, echoing through the skies overhead. Suddenly the man stopped in place. He realized that they were not running from him. As a heavy impact shook the ground behind him, the force bounced the man into the air. As he landed back on his feet, a massive cloud of dust and dirt swept past him. Then the air rushed behind him, then shot back by him. This time it was abnormally hot. A strong feeling of pride quickly shot through the creature. Astaroth knew what was behind it, whose body he was now riding passenger with. He knew that this was the fighter it was looking for. This is what was driving this creature onward. This is who he was looking for. This was the challenger he had waited for, and she was finally here. Astaroth couldn't explain just how he knew that she was female. As the man turned around, a massive dragon was behind him. Astaroth felt a toothy smile crawl onto the creature's face. As he took the blade in both hands and dashed towards the dragon. Yeah. She roared, splitting open the skies above them, and made the very ground rumble beneath them. Then the ringing of his alarm clock snapped him back to reality. Okay. Astaroth reached over and shut the alarm clock off. Oh, yeah. Astaroth reached over and stopped the alarm, then patted Rook's head. He rubbed his eyes clean before he looked at the time. He had 8 hours of sleep, but he felt like he didn't get any sleep at all. Still, he quickly forced himself to sit up, straight onto his bed. And carefully stood up. His left leg trembled under his weight, barely able to hold him up straight. As Astaroth took off his pajamas, Rook stood next to him. Astaroth had to use his brother's strength to support him and hold himself straight. This had just become their normal way of starting their days. Rook looked at all the scars on his brother's body, and the bruises that covered him were both new and old. The clearest scar that Astaroth had was on his right shoulder. It was a long slash on his right side down to his chest. It ran straight down past his ribs. It seemed something tried to cut off his arm once. A long scar with small holes where it was stapled back in place. Astaroth carefully got himself dressed. He put his black pants on, then sat down on his bed. He quickly fastened his leg brace on before putting on his combat boots. Then he could finish dressing himself. A white tank top, a white button-up dress shirt, a red tie, and a black waistcoat with white pinstripes. He wrapped his hands in boxing tape before putting on a pair of black leather gloves. The gloves had heavy brass studs over the knuckles. Astaroth popped his knuckles before rolling his shoulders. He put on his shoulder sling with his pistol still inside the holster. He put on his favorite brown leather trench coat and black fedora. He would never leave home without his gun and Rook at his side. This was his standard uniform for going through his day-to-day life. Rook playfully barked at Astaroth, wagging his tail to his brother. Hey, not all of us can go walking around nude. with just a collar on. Okay, so there's a large group of people who would love to do just that, but I, like most normal people, don't, brother, Astaroth stated. Rook barked happily at Astaroth as he leant his head to the side. Yes, Rook, I know this is all I ever wear, but it's classy and respectable. Plus, they were on sale, so Mom got a lot of them, Astaroth explained as he pet Rook. Astaroth and Rook walked up the stairs. As Astaroth opened the door to the kitchen, he found his grandparents sitting at the kitchen table eating ice cream. To work, lad? Jack asked. Yep, Astaroth answered as he shut the door behind Rook. Still having those dreams? May asked. Yep, Astaroth answered, heading to the back door. I'll talk to the doctor then, May said before Astaroth interrupted her. I don't need to see a damn head shrink. They're just dreams. They're not even real, Astaroth explained. Astaroth, the mind can be wounded too. You just need a special doctor for it is all, Jack explained, tapping two of his metal fingers against his forehead. Now, I'll call her up and set an appointment time for you. And you'd better be there, young man, Mace stated. Okay, Astaroth said before walking out the back door. He's your grandson, Jack, May said, turning to her husband, licking the ice cream off her spoon. I know, May, I know, Jack said, nodding his head. Okay. Shoot. There we go. Across the city, TK rowed a boat up the lake in the park. They had an old-fashioned portable record player sitting in the boat with them. It was playing soft jazz music as he rowed the boat. Pan laid sideways in the boat. Her boots and stockings and her hat were laying on top the cooler. Next to the record player. Were laying on top the cooler in front of the record player. Yeah. She hung her feet off the side of the boat, dipped into the water. Her long braided hair trailed in the water behind them as TK rowed onward. Pan laid there, just staring up at the sky in twilight hours. She looked at the starlight barely shining above her, like fading fireflies. Several wild fireflies danced and blinked around them, like they were following the music. The soft white light from the planet's moon and halo around it shined down on them. It made everything still and calm. The croaking of frogs slowly echoing echoing in from the shores. The soft sound of the water moving and the music softly echoing around them. It was all pleasant and peaceful. It was like their own little Nirvana inside the city. Still, her mind raced with thoughts as she wondered. As she was wondering. How'd I mess that up? TK, how do you know that they'll walk the path laid before them? Pan asked, enchanted by the surreal splendor and bliss around her. Simple, Pan. They don't swim downstream. They don't row the boat, as it were. TK answered as he pulled in the wooden oars of the boat. Pan turned her head towards TK as he effortlessly lifted a cinder block with a chain connecting the cinder block to the boat. He threw the heavy block straight into the water with a loud splashing sound, breaking the stillness around them. TK lifted the needle off the record before he switched off the record player. He could sense Pan was confused by his statement, so he thought of a better way to clarify what he meant. They'll walk the road because it's the only one they've ever known. I've seen them go down this road time and time again, Pan, TK explained carefully. Really? Pan asked. Ancient fishermen once learned that they could lure smaller fishies to where the cold water meets the warm water. The little fishies would swim away from the boats trying to avoid the nets, only to lure the bigger fish out from the depths of the waters to eat the little fishies. Then the fishermen caught them all in one fell swoop. So all we can really do is just herd as many little fishies as we can towards them. That way, that will get the big fish to come up finally. And those two, they are two of the biggest fish in this little pond. All we have to do is herd as many little fishies towards them as it takes to get them to come up. Then showtime, TK explained as clearly as he could to her. Oh, so this is that. Yep. So is that why you took pity on this place instead of recycling it? Pan asked. Maybe, but they were already here when I found it. I did nothing but halt its own annihilation, TK answered, looking at his twisted reflection in the water until some small waves distorted it. TK looked across the boat and noticed Pan was gone. Her dress was left in the boat where she was laying a moment ago. TK looked back at the water as Pan grabbed the side of the boat. What are you doing? TK asked with a smile. All this talk about water made me want to go for a swim. Care to join me? Pan said as she dove back under the water and vanished into the darkness within it. Cannonball, TK shouted childishly as he leapt off the side of the boat and splashed into the water. The two of them disappeared into the water's dark depths beneath the moonlight. Okay. That's going to be a good spot to stop for right now. Sorry about all that. Having some technical difficulties. Anywho, if you would be so kind as to leave a like, share, subscribe. Hopefully I can at least get this video to at least 5 likes before continuing on. Thank you for your time, everybody, and have a beautiful evening.